Can you believe now you can play Cyberpunk 2077 on a MacBook? Well, I'm playing at Full HD resolution with nearly 60 FPS. It runs pretty stable and doesn't get too hot. And if I let the fan run on auto, the CPU stay around 80 degrees Celsius. But when I set the fan to maximum, the temperature dropped to just over 60 degrees Celsius. Now, many AAA titles are already supported on macOS. Aside from Cyberpunk, the newest Assassin's Creed Shadows run at over 40 FPS. Or take something more casual like League of Legends, which hit nearly 200 frames per second. Of course, nobody would buy a MacBook just for gaming. But what I really want to say is, if you want to have some fun and play games on your Mac, it's totally possible now. And the MacBook has a growing game library with both PC games and Apple Arcade titles. Especially with the MacBook Pro, the fans help keep the performance more stable than the MacBook Air during long gaming sessions. And gaming is just a part of my experience with the M4 MacBook Pro 14 for the last few months. I've been using it as my main device after switching from the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 13. So today, in this video, I will share you all of my experience with this laptop. And this is NK. Welcome back to ThinkView. The MacBook Pro 14 is noticeably heavier than the MacBook Air or even the X1 Carbon Gen 13. I mean, it's fine when you're just working on a desk, but it can feel a bit cramped when you're in a tight space, like on an airplane for example. So in the past, with the MacBook Air, I could easily take it to work anywhere or anytime. It was really thin and light. But with this MacBook Pro, I would still prefer to find a proper table before getting any serious work done. Now, on the build quality, I have to say that this thing is outstanding. Apple made everything feels rock solid. Holding a MacBook Pro 14 feels like holding a solid block of aluminum. No flex, no gap, no looseness of any kind. In the Windows world, maybe just the Surface laptop could match this build quality. The ThinkPad X1 Carbon, however, is also a premium with its magnesium alloy, but in a different way. Most Windows laptops with aluminum bodies still don't feel as sturdy and firm as the MacBook Pro 14. Now, some people may ask, what's the point of having a heavier and more sturdy laptop? Well, it's not just for look or feel. A sturdy chassis helps to protect the interior and is especially crucial if you have to go here and there to work. But that would take you some time to really appreciate. Now, if talking about some difference that you can feel instantly, well, it would be the typing experience. Compared to the MacBook Air like my M4 MacBook Air, typing on the Pro 14 just feels way better. The way that Apple made the Pro chassis thicker imitate how the mechanical keyboard is built inside a solid case, making every single keystroke more firm and responsive, which in turn making the keys on the Pro have a slightly better tactile feedback in compared to the Air. Overall, I would say that this is one of the best typing experience on laptop right now. But, and it's a big but, MacBook keyboards always get oily and glossy over time, and this kind of wear on keycaps really make their resale values worse. The aluminum frame still look kinda new, but the keyboard might make it feel like it has been through quite a lot. Now, on charging and battery life, well, I rarely need to plug in this MacBook Pro. When I go to work in the morning, I plug it into a monitor through a USB-C cable, and it charges the laptop at the same time at a rate of around 90 watts. Then in the afternoon, I bring it out with me, using it all evening, even until the next morning, and the battery it still has quite a lot. And that's why ever since I started to use the Pro 14, I stopped bringing the charger with me altogether. The battery is just that good. And after a few months of use, I could say that a single fan on this MacBook Pro make a big difference. It helped the machine cool faster, keeping the performance consistently high, unlike the Air, which gradually slowed down under heavy load. And gaming is a clear example. Although the Air and the Pro using the same M4 chip, but thanks to that single fan, it helped keep the performance consistently high. Like for Assassin's Creed Shadows, both laptops can achieve 40 FPS, but only the Pro can sustain that, while the Air gets dropped slowly half of its maximum. And the same thing with Cyberpunk 2077. With proper cooling, I can play this game at 60 FPS, but on the Air, it will quickly drop down to just around 35 FPS. And whenever editing videos myself, I often set the fan to max all day just to keep things smoothly. Of course, if you keep the fans on auto, it will run very quiet. But the moment that you start editing heavier footage, it starts stuttering a lot. So if you're doing a demanding job and still want to stick with the M4 chip, I would recommend you to turn on the fan manually for more stable performance. And this year, I think that the base model already got a great value. For around $1,600 US, you can get a significantly more powerful M4 chip with 16 gigs of RAM and 500 gigs of storage, all of which are just the base version. That said, the moment that you decided to upgrade, things got pricey really fast. Well, just a slightly RAM or SSD upgrade can cost you $200 or even $400 more. Even this nano texture display option I'm using adds nearly $150 extra. And speaking of nano texture display, if you're working indoor, you might not even notice it's a nano texture screen. The color looks just as vibrant, unlike the matte finishing on others' laptops that often make the color look washed out. The nano layer here works really well. When you shine a light at the screen, it diffuses into tiny dots instead of reflecting directly back to you. But you will really notice the difference outdoor. When I'm at the coffee shop, the screen shows everything clearly with zero reflection. Plus, it's a mini LED panel which gets 1000 nit brightness in normal condition and 1600 nit in HDR. I haven't found any condition where the screen struggles. Compare that to when I'm bringing the MacBook Air to the coffee shop, I have to crank up the brightness up to like 100%. But with the Pro 14 Nano texture in indoor condition, I am happy at just 50 to 60%. Even under the bright light condition, 70 to 80% is plenty. And just like the recent few years, the I/O on the MacBook Pro is kind enough for many users, especially for media creators. It's got a total of 3 Type-C, 2 on the left, 1 on the right, a dedicated MagSafe port, 1 HDMI, and an SD card reader. And this is where I have a step up in my daily experience. I don't have to worry about carrying a hub like I do with my MacBook Air. And it's 2025 now. I mean, like most peripherals now support with USB-C, like this mouse I have over here. It has a USB-C dongle, you see? So USB-A is not that important anymore. Also, talking about Type-C, all 3 USB-C ports are supported for charging up to 90 watts. But I really appreciate that my MacBook Pro has at least one on both sides. It really helped me in my work setup. One more thing I got impressed by when going from an Air M4 is the speaker. Speakers on MacBook Pro 14s are excellent. Bass, mid, and even treble are well balanced. It sounds noticeably better than the 13-inch Air and even a bit better than the 15-inch Air. Finally, let's talk about macOS on this machine. I have already made a guide on using shortcut and that stuff is really awesome. But nothing is perfect. For example, macOS gradually fill up the system data. I clean out my desktop and download folder, but the system data just keep growing from 500 to 700 GB of storage. Deleting it meaning that you have to use Finder to digging through the folders, which takes a lot of time and still doesn't always work. Today's videos is mainly about what I like and didn't like after a few months of daily usage. But if someone asks me which high-end laptop to buy in the range of like $1,600 US, I would still recommend this MacBook Pro 14, as long as they are comfortable with macOS. This is an extremely well-rounded machine with no major weaknesses at its price point. The only question is whether it fit your need or not. But what do you think about the MacBook Pro 14? Let me know in the comment section down below, okay? Now, thanks for watching. This is NK from ThinkView and see you guys next time.